Good morning, YouTube. It's your buddy Choppadong coming at you another episode of Chop Talk, brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS, football, college football, baseball. All of the sports are covered from NBA to PGA. That's what we do. We're here to make you a better player. So jump down into the comments section, click the link, become a VIP today, DFSArmy.com. Use code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Deliver that 10% discount back to your wallet because friends don't let friends pay retail. And while you're down there, smash on the like button, smash on the subscribe button, click the little bell to get yourself alerts when new content drops because we are getting more and more consistent with the daily content because of the feedback you guys have provided me. I appreciate it more than words can explain. But my main goal is to dive into baseball today. Let's start looking at the slate for Friday. Huge slate. And I've got a couple of key thoughts that if I don't mention them now, I'll forget them. Number one, we need to find out where we went wrong with Cole Hamels last night. Number two, tonight is the kind of night where not a lot of these teams' offenses have tons and tons of bats really rolling. By the way, I sorted out the parameters. I sorted by 350 WOBA last 7 days and 200 ISO last 7 days. And when I look at that, not a lot of teams have more than 2 or 3 bats to offer. So it seems like with such a huge slate, this is going to be the kind of night where you're going to be more willing to spread out instead of stack. If you stack, you're guessing. And that's okay. That's going to win tournaments and win GP. Somebody's going to stack, somebody's going to hit it hard. Tonight might be a little bit more of a cash game type slate, though, because it looks like we can be taking a lot of onesies and twosies and maybe a 3-person stack somewhere. And that's going to give us the best chance to succeed because the 4 and 5-star offenses don't have a lot to offer in terms of hot bats. Maybe one here, 2 there. Those are the types of nights where we need to be spreading out. Trust the numbers that you see. Spread out when the slate dictates you spread out. And when that happens, play more cash than you play tournaments. Sure, take some shots any given night, right? But focus more on cash. We tend to get too bottled up into GPP only or cash only or whatever. You need to be able to see what the slate offers you and give and yin and yang and zig and zag and all those crazy terms. Let's dive in. We'll dig up the pitching, but I wanted to show you Cole Hamels first. I had to dig into yesterday, and I had to pull up his game log. We saw the 55 points, and I just want to know what we did or what we missed because he didn't look great last night. This is where numbers, recency helps. Last 4 games, last 5 games helps. Because when you look at his season-long numbers or his last 2 years' numbers, you're going to see his K percentage is down. He's not striking people. Well, lately, dang it, he's been striking people out. Maybe it's a change in scenery, whatever. But he's had 3, 4, 5 starts over in Chicago to start getting his feet wet, and he's pitched very, very well in most of them. Look at his points. 55, 40, 49, 39, 31, maybe 48, unless it was his last start with his former team. Wouldn't you love to have a guy like that? And damn it, we missed it. And it drives me bonkers when we miss stuff like that. Didn't look when I look one way and I let the numbers kind of ebb and flow through me variance wise, and it drives me nuts when I miss something that I probably could have seen, and this we probably could have seen. Good news is Glasnow was massive chalk and you didn't need him to win money, but man, if you'd have had Cole Hamels, you were set up really, really well. So we're going to look last 4 or 5 numbers in a lot of cases just to double check stuff. I don't know that I'm going to dig into that today, but again, season numbers can be misleading. We may need to be looking at, that's why I look at L7 WOBA. That's why I look at a little bit of L14, X WOBA, the stuff, the tools the Army offers, because that recency in finding those hot bats, hot arms helps. Can't believe we missed that. Anywho, let's jump over to the research station and break up the pitching like we always do. When you sort by K percentage and you pull those high strikeout pitchers to the top, Rich, Hill, Clevenger, Godley, Fulte, Haney, Odorizzi, Gio's probably not starting. I don't know. I can't get a read on whether he is or not. I see it in one area and I see it in another area as another pitcher, so whatever. Australia area, this is just kind of a list in order, and you might look all the way down to a Keuchel, something like that on the radar tonight. However, when we're looking at K-scores, there's not a ton to offer tonight. So I'm going to look here at K-score, and I see, 519 for Rich Hill. And then for Clevenger, when you guys look over here, I'll just read the numbers off to you. I already wrote them down. For Clevenger, 443, Godley, 450, Fulte, 464, Haney, 436. When I start getting too much below that, I look at this one. Here's a 410. This one here's a 420, 430. Here's a 450, which is great for Derek Rodriguez. 450, which is also great for a Joe Musgrove. So these are types of pitchers you can look into if you want. But I'm going to use this as a combination of K-score, Vegas odds, salary. You know, and these guys are cheap and all, and that's great, but they're not as strong of favorites as the others. Rich Hill's a minus 240, Clevenger's a 220, Godley's a minus 155, Fulte's a 200. Haney is interesting to me. I don't really know why he's popping. He's not even priced up, but I don't know why I took him 8K. Maybe that's what it is. Low 8,000s always gets me a sweet spot. He's a plus 145 dog, a 436 K score. It's not great. Not a great matchup. Watch him blow up for 75 points tonight, though. It would be interesting. So I'm really focused up here on the top. I don't get cute with pitching. That's not my job. My job is to point you in the right direction and give you a fighting chance to make competitive lineups. You know, we got to learn to walk before we run, and we got to learn to make competitive lineups before we make big winning lineups, deep runs into tournaments. We need to get the fundamentals in place first before we take the training wheels off and really let our freak flag fly. So what we're going to do is focus on Hill, Clevenger, Godley, Fulte, maybe a little bit of Haney. Not really. I just mentioned why not. The thing I will tell you is at 8,800, Rich Hill's a minus 240 and a 519 K score. It's going to be very, very hard to beat at that price point. He's also priced up on DraftKings. Clevenger's a 9.5K, minus 220 and a 443. Why would I pay $700 more for a 70-point lower K score? I wouldn't. Godley, 9,300, $500 more, minus 155. Why would I pay more for a lower Vegas favorite? And then throw in that it's a 60-point K score difference. I mean, Rich Hill's just better right now. He's just in a better spot. Fulte Niewitz at 10.5 is the competition. Priced up a little on DK, not really worth mentioning. But 200 favorite out of Vegas, 464 K score, 92 DFSA grade, when Rich Hill only has an 85 DFSA grade. What I'm looking at there, though, is again, why would I pay $2,000 more and get 50 to 60 points less? That makes no sense to me. So I think I got to run Rich Hill just about everywhere. Not real thrilled with it. I might run a little Fulte to offset, because with Fulte, what we're going to get at $2,000 more is we're going to get a different lineup construction build. We won't be able to use the same bats, so it'll throw us off of the track if Hill ends up being chalk, or if Hill blows up, or some of the bats blow up. If some of the bats blow up, then that's just the price point people are going to be focused on. The offenses, the spots in the order people are going to be focused on. Fulte Niewitz forces you to go down a little bit more value bats, and if the value bats have good nights, then you get off. It's just a little slightly different way to get off the beaten path. Those are a couple of ways where I will get contrarian, but I'm typically not a contrarian builder. It's just not my thing. I'm not looking for, oh my God, San Francisco's in a great spot tonight, and I'm going to pair them up with Baltimore. Yeah, you're never going to hear that advice out of me. You're always going to hear, stick with what Vegas tells you, stick with what the numbers tell you, who's getting a bad pitcher and who's got a hot offense running into that bad pitcher. Those are the places you're always going to find. Logically, it just makes sense to me. Logically, the other ways just don't make sense to me. A lot of people will say, yeah, but I only have to hit one time out of 100 when I get paid 1,000x. And you're right. You are. But my job is to teach you guys to be better at the cash game and hybrid type stuff that's going to keep you competitive longer, keep your bankroll intact longer, so that if you use a small smidge of it and chase those GPPs, you can do that indefinitely until you hit it. That's my coaching principles inside DFSArmy.com. When we scroll over and look at DFSA grade, if I can get it to sort by ascending, which again, with a little delay, takes a double click sometimes. We bring up all these guys. Remember, I'm only focused on 40 and under typically. I mean, these guys, yeah, you can attack some of them. But if I come over here and go Harvey and higher, the teams that I'm writing down, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chicago. Chicago's on the early slate. That stinks. So really only 4 of them. Maybe Detroit, Arizona, New York, playable, fine, no big deal. If I expanded my list, I'd have to recount everything. I'm not going to do that. When I look at high implied run totals, I went looking at about 4.8 and higher. It's about what the slate, it seemed to be a little bit of a I don't want to get down to the 4.5 runs and stuff like that. I'm trying to stay over 5. When it doesn't give me many teams to look for over 5, I'll dip down a little, 4.9, 4 point, but I'm not going too far because once I start getting down to 4.7, 4.6, 4.5, it just doesn't matter anymore. And it doesn't even mean the 5s are going to score a ton. It just means that Vegas seems to think they're in a better position to score runs. And so I'll read off of that a little bit and check a box with it. That's St. Louis, Colorado, of course, LA Dodgers, Cleveland, Washington. Those are your offenses in that regard. When you look at the double red, which I'll show you today, because I'm doing a little bit different stuff with double red, trying to really kind of pinpoint where it tells me things might go well. This is WOBA. Some of the other numbers I've looked at are batting average against. Batting average against seems like 300, about 320, 330 and higher is great, but a 330 batting average does not translate to a 330 WOBA. We need to be willing to come off of that 330. Now, it's great. You want to really pigeonhole it down on a big slate, stick to 330 WOBA and above. And what you're going to find, you come down to about here, scroll over and look. Maybe Cobb can be attacked, Straley for sure, Vargas for sure, and Hutchinson for sure. So that's 3, maybe 4 offenses that you're looking at. That really cut you down right away. You might expand your thinking a little bit because it's WOBA versus batting average. Taking a 330 batting average, maybe about a 300 WOBA equates, similarly. So if you came all the way down to 300, look at the number of teams you've just expanded your horizon to. Sabathia can be attacked. Musgrove, Senzatela, holy crap, Harvey. Well, if he wasn't on the early slate. Odorizzi can be attacked. Cobb, Straley, Lopez. I mean, these are the ones, now you've got 10 or 15, so maybe that's too many for you to pick from. But now that's where we're going to use our head, and on big slates, we'll cut it down significantly. On smaller slates, we're going to have to expand our parameters, widen our net, just to get a few teams to fall into it that we want to focus on, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to do is show you guys how to work your way through a slate, show you guys how to think your way through a slate, and the screen share software is the best way to do this by far. When we go double red, I broke that list up big, went Baltimore, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Chicago, Oakland. Take Chicago off there. They're on the early slate. Oakland, New York, Atlanta, Detroit, Washington, Pittsburgh, San Francisco. Those are the guys facing double red pitchers. However, if we cut that down to, say, 320, 330 and better on both sides of the plate, we've cut it down to, Chicago I mentioned, but New York, Atlanta, San Francisco. That's it. So again, it's hard to widen that out too much because you're not, the difference between a 320 WOBA and a 315 WOBA, big WOBA. You got to make significant jumps to do it. And sometimes you find the meat of that bell curve I talk about and everybody falls into it. That's not good either because then they're all kind of tiebreakers. They're all kind of, nobody knows. You want to stick with the guys that have the biggest advantage and try to play from that as best you can and slowly expand your net by including down, 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 down a little bit until you get in, until you can see where there's another tier break and boom, draw the line right there. We're going to be using that a lot with NFL. We're going to be using that some with NHL, stuff like that to kind of show you guys. I wish I knew NBA better. I don't. But to show you guys a lot of that kind of stuff and show you how it transfers from sport to sport to sport. Because I learned these other sports and got good at DFS by being a member of DFS Army for a few years before I started really writing and really helping contribute. But learning these things, sport after sport, made my overall football game better, which then made my basketball game or my baseball game or my whatever game better. And it's going to happen for you too, but you need to be a member year round. You can't just come and go for NFL season. If you really want to make your NFL better, you got to learn, some baseball or the principles apply. And if you follow me throughout the next few months or whatever, we'll talk about them all. I don't know what day I'm going to bring it up, but sometimes these ideas pop into my head and you're going to pick up on them. That's the whole idea. All right, the offenses with runs scored and then runs allowed, those offenses, that list got big because we're on a big slate and they're all playing, so I listed all 10 or 12 teams. And then I went through those 5 stars that I talk about. I went through, implied run total, double red, low DFSA rating for pitchers, runs for, and then runs against. And those 5 categories, I got 4-star offenses in Washington, St. Louis, and Cleveland. Those are the guys that are in the 4-star spots. The 3-star spots, Pittsburgh, LA Dodgers, New York Yankees, Atlanta. And then the two spot and below, I just basically called GPPs. And a lot of them was because they're scoring runs and they're facing a team giving up runs, but they're not really facing a bad pitcher tonight. Or maybe they're facing a bad pitcher tonight and they're scoring a lot of runs, but Vegas doesn't think they're going to score a lot of runs. You know, there's a couple of things that are maybe working for them, but there's a few things that are also sort of working against them to really turn the light green. And so those are the ones that can kind of randomly work some nights, and those are relegated more to GPPs. These other, the 4-star and 3-star offenses, I'd probably use in hybrids, cash, GPPs, kind of all formats. But again, I'm not afraid to dip into those lower stars. I'm just using the other bigger 3 and 4 and 5-star teams as my foundation, trying to get as many of them as I possibly can in my lineup because I believe they're in the best spots. So let's dive into the trends tab. And what I did was I sorted by WOBA by 350 and then ISO by 200. And I cut the fluff. And now what I can do is I can also sort WOBA by descending. And if I do that, now what I'm going to do, and I don't want to cut all the plate appearances out yet because Encarnacion just came back off the DL and stuff like that, but I'll be watching them. What I want to do now is go through some of these offenses and show you the playables. And I want to show you what I'm talking about when I meant this is more of a cash slate. Washington, okay, they've got some, but they've got a lot of guys that aren't getting a lot of at-bats, right? So really and truly, it's only Zimmerman and Eaton. It doesn't mean Harper's not a good play. You know, it doesn't mean Rendon's not a good play. It just means that based on my parameters, these are the two I'm reaching for first. I would complement stacks with them if I want to stack Washington, but I'm looking at two guys in this offense. When I look at St. Louis, look who's missing. No Matt Carpenter. But the three guys getting at bats, Jerko Bader and Martinez, O'Neill some, but Jerko, Bader, and Martinez, and it just happens they're a little bit cheaper too, which is great. This would be a 3-stack I would maybe use. And then I go to Cleveland, but that's 2 from Washington, 3 from Cleveland. What we got? Maybe 2. I mean, Encarnacion, I guess, counts. Melky Cabrera and Brantley, so 2, maybe 3 from Cleveland. So again, it's not like I've got 6 guys to choose from, and it's an obvious stacking spot. Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, work on this. Pittsburgh, come on. Oh, why are you doing this to me? Polanco and Frazier, yuck. It's only 2 guys. I mean, they're 2 okay guys, but I don't know why Frazier's a 297 in the WOBA. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it reset some crap on me. So we'll bring that back and boom, Frazier be gone. Polanco's the only one. Go to the LA Dodgers. Now, you've got a few here. Turner, Machado, Muncy, Kiki, right? So there's maybe a viable stack tonight against Richard. New York Yankees, Stanton and Walker, that's it. The rest of them fell off. Last few days haven't been good, so they fell right off our list. It's only a 2-stack out of there. Atlanta, only 1. Swanson. Where's Freeman? Where's Acuna? Where are these guys? I know Acuna hit a bomb last night, but where are they? In the last 7 days, not so hot. These 2 are ascending, though. 416 to 550, 360 to 460. So if you see Suzuki get a start, that'd be great. Swanson is a nice little one-off, maybe. But see where I'm going with the cash slate? There's not a lot of obvious stacking spots where we got a lot of guys to pick from. You can compile some stats or you can use Washington and then reach for a player or 2, but that's not necessarily a cash safe thing to do, in my opinion, because the WOBAs aren't justifying it. Run out to Arizona, and that lineup's changing too. Peralta, Goldschmidt, Descalso, Pollock. You know, but Souza's gone. You know, some of the other guys are kind of gone. Ahmed, Marte, they're gone. They're not on this list right now. John Jay, he was on it for a while. He's gone. So it's not like we have 3 or 4 other guys to choose from. So we've kind of got to pick and choose. And these are the pricey ones. Good luck stacking those guys. You know, Detroit and San Francisco, I'll save for later. Save for you guys to go look on your own. But the point is, this is why. When we don't see a big list of names behind a team, then we can't necessarily just stack it up like crazy. We're going to have to run the 2 best. And then go to another team and grab 2 more, and go to another team and grab 2 more, and go to another team and grab 2 more, and run a 2-2-2-2-2. If you do that, it's a cash lineup. It doesn't typically, it can still go off. It's baseball. But it doesn't typically have the power to go all the way deep into the money and the GPPs that often. So you're kind of, you shouldn't be necessarily playing GPPs with a lineup like that because it's not going to happen all that often. You should maybe play some leagues, like stop at a 10-man, 20-man, I mean, maybe a 100-man type of thing. But you're mostly looking for 3-mans, 5-mans, head-to-heads, double ups, 50-50s. Those types of contests is where you stick a lineup like a 2-2-2-2. When you go 4-4 or 4-3-1 or 3-3-2 or something like that, now you're looking a little bit more towards GPP type stuff. Especially the 4-3-1. Those are great in 3-mans and 5-mans too. They're a little more boom or bust, obviously, but when you hit the offenses right, you've got 3 or 4 bats sitting in that offense instead of just 2. So it doesn't have quite the upside when the offense really goes off. If you hit to have the same, like if I have a run, an offense that goes for 15 runs and another one that goes for 10, and I've got 4 bats in each lineup, I probably had a good night. However, if I only had 2 bats in that, and 2 bats in another one, and 2 bats in another lineup, and 2 bats in another lineup, now I have to hit 4 offenses. And hopefully have the correct 2 bats out of all 4. See how that is significantly harder to do? It's nice because it's dud protection. Because if I've got 4 bats in a lineup that only scores 1 run, I didn't dud out half my lineup. Instead, I've got half my team in other stuff. But it also ruins your upside. Again, these are the things we constantly remind people, constantly talk about inside DFSArmy.com. So if this is the kind of coaching you want, smash that like button, smash that subscription button, get in here, follow the link in the coupon code CHOP, and do all the necessary stuff to become a VIP today because we're getting ready to roll out a bunch of college football material. I'm telling you, it's going to be hot fire in DFS Army this fall. And 75% of what we do is locked up behind closed doors. You got to be a VIP to see it. So jump on in. Love to talk to you. Chop out. See you on Friday. See you on the weekend. Have a great weekend. Whatever. If I pop in with a random video, that'd be great. But if not, I will see you guys Monday. Peace out.